Hello, and welcome to this virtual recognition of the International Day of Mourning for workers who have been killed, injured, or suffered illness as a result of work-related incidents. Today's ceremony is brought to you by AUPE's Occupational Health and Safety Committee. My name is Bonnie Gostola, and it is my honor to be a Vice President of AUPE and the Chair of the Occupational Health and Safety Standing Committee. I will be your host for this Day of Mourning ceremony. We know that today will be difficult for those of us who have lost loved ones. For AUPE members and family, help is at hand. If you are struggling, please call AUPE's Crisis Support Service line at 1-844-744-7026. At this time, I would like to ask President Guy Smith to speak to the AUPE members and staff.
Thank you, Bonnie. Today, more than any other day, we're reminded that AUPE is much more than a union. We are a very large family, and like most families, we come together to mourn when we lose one of our own. I'm very sad to report today that yesterday we lost Sister Mary Kehoe, one of the fiercest advocates for occupational health and safety you could ever meet. Mary joined AUPE as a staff member in 2008. She came to us as a member out of Capital Care Group, Local 49. She has always been a huge part of the OH&S program at AUPE, serving the standing committee and mentoring dozens of membership services officers and hundreds, maybe thousands of members throughout her career. Mary assumed the role of Senior Membership Services Officer in 2016, and more recently has been Acting Manager of Labor Relations for the North. We are shocked and saddened by her sudden passing, but we know that her good work has laid the foundation for many of us to carry forward. Rise in power, Mary, and thank you for everything. Thank you, Bonnie.
Thank you, Guy. I will now ask Carrie Burchill from Local 6 and a member of the Standing Committee to do the treaty acknowledgement.
Good afternoon. We would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge that the land we are working on and are offering this learning opportunity from is on Treaty 6, 7, and 8 territory in the area we now call Alberta, traditional home and meeting ground for many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples. This acknowledgement is not just something we should say or read, it is something we need to work to understand and believe in and act upon, acknowledging that we are all on shared lands and that in the spirit of reconciliation and solidarity, it is important for us to share our cultures and our traditions. To acknowledge the traditional territory is to recognize its long history, reaching beyond colonization, as well as its significance for the Indigenous peoples who lived and continue to live upon this territory. What treaty are you residing on? Take a look at the map here and see if you are on Treaty 6, 7, or 8.
Thank you, Carrie. Paulette Harrison, Local 52 member of the Standing Committee and Vice Chair, would you please read the Statement of Equality?
Equality and equity are core union values, and as such, AUP is committed to ensuring that individuals can meaningfully participate and contribute to union activities. Participants are expected to challenge and debate issues and not individuals, as well as engage in behaviors that protect and celebrate our diversity. AUPE will neither condone or tolerate behavior that undermines the dignity or self-esteem of an individual or create an intimidating, hostile, or unsafe environment that interferes with the abilities of others to participate in the union activities. These behaviors prevent us from working together to strengthen our union. We encourage individuals to acknowledge discrimination and harassment by challenging or reporting inappropriate behavior. In doing so, we promote our own solidarity and equality. If you feel your rights or the rights of others are being violated and you're not able to address it, please seek assistance from an AUP staff member or officer.
Thank you, Paulette. I would now like to introduce you to the other 8 members of the Occupational Health and Standing Committee. Health and Safety Standing Committee. First off, Brenda Lucier from Local 43. All right, next we have Diana Lee Erickson from Local 48. Dorinda Ainscoe, Local 12. Okay, Juanita Kozikar, Local 56. And Sandra Mill from Local 1. And finally, Wiley Howe from Local 95. We also welcome and acknowledge our administrative support individual, who is Rochelle Weisgerber, who is our amazing staff support, and our staff advisor. Welcome, Diana Griffith. These members are dedicated to bringing awareness and hard work to the addressing issues that are facing all of our AUP members in our occupational health and safety realm. I would also like to welcome President Guy Smith and our guest speakers, Dennis Malayco and Jared Matsonada Turnbull. During the course of this event, we will be hearing from Darlene Sumlac and the nominators and recipients of the Roland Sumlac Award. Every April 28th, we gather to honor and mourn those workers who have lost their lives or their livelihoods due to the injuries and illness suffered as a result of going to work. Every year, too many Albertans die as a result of going to work. For 2021, Alberta's Workers' Compensation Board, or the WCB, has reported 178 deaths in our province from workplace injury or illness. That is a sharp and worrying increase from the 150 workers who lost their lives in 2020. In its annual report due out on June 1st, the WCB will also update the number of claims it officially accepted for workplace injuries. But the official statistics tell only part of the story. Independent researchers estimate the true number of fatalities because of work each year is between 10 and 13 times higher than WCB reports. That is because official statistics systematically underreport work-related deaths. They only report accepted claims, meaning work-related death is unrecognized for what it really is, one of the leading causes of death in Alberta and in Canada. Because of the industries they work in, AUPE members are more likely to be hurt on the job than other workers. Healthcare, education, and government services see more injuries than in industries that most people perceive to be more dangerous, such as agriculture, forestry, mining, or construction. For many years, AUPE has fought hard to protect workers. We believe that every worker should come home safely at the end of their shift. Unions make it safe for workers to report danger when they see it. Our collective agreements mean that workers have a formal role to play in workplace safety, serving on joint workplace safety committees and serving in other important safety roles for its members. Unfortunately, workers cannot rely on their employers to do the right thing. Far too often, the appetite for profit or the pressure to cut spending puts those workers at risk. Through the union, we as workers can push back against the employer's pressure to cut corners. We can press for better safety rules and regulations from government. We can negotiate better safety provisions and collective agreements, and we can fight for better training. To do that successfully, we need more members to embrace the culture of safety and give their own well-being the consideration it deserves. Since 2020, and into the first quarter of 2022, frontline workers across the province have put their physical health and their mental health on the line as we continue to fight COVID-19 pandemic. Whether working in continuing care, in acute care, in corrections and law enforcement, social work, or providing other vital public services, AUPE members and other workers have put the needs of others above their own safety and health. AUPE lost members to the pandemic in 2020 and 2021. COVID-19 has been particularly rampant in some continuing care, healthcare, and correctional facilities. While restrictions may have eased, the pandemic is not over, and exhausted workers are looking ahead, fearing more waves of disease, more staff shortages at work, and more unrelenting pressure. This year, let us do more than grieve for workers we have lost. This year, let's commit to taking action. This year, we as workers must raise our voices and demand safer workplaces. Safety is our job, and we cannot count on anyone else to do it. Every year at this time, we honor workers who have gone above and beyond to fight for occupational health and safety. 30 years ago, AUPE began awarding advocates of health and safety with the Roland Sumlac Award. Today, you will hear how this award came to be. What is important to note is the unique nature of this award, as the nominations must come from coworkers, people who have seen the work of the nominees and their dedication to workplace safety up close. To be singled out in this way by one's coworkers is surely a huge honor. Shortly, we will be presenting the Roland Sumlac Awards, but first, we have a brief video message from President Guy Smith, after which I will ask him to say a few words.
I'm standing here at this memorial to bring you a day of mourning message. This is a monument to Alberta's broken families. It's a monument to a family without a father or without a mother who were killed on the job. It's a monument for parents grieving the loss of an adult child who got a fatal illness from being at work. This is a place to remember the hundreds of mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, friends, loved ones, and colleagues who die every year, and the many, many more who get hurt or sick. This is a place to mourn, and today is a day to mourn. However, the message I bring you today is that it is not enough to mourn. Today, we must embrace our role as workers in preventing future workplace deaths, injuries, and illnesses. Today, I am asking you to acknowledge that it is our job as workers to speak up and demand safer workplaces. We can't trust the government to keep us safe. We can't trust employers to keep us safe. They act only after we put pressure on them to create and enforce occupational health and safety legislation or to change workplace policies. That means it's up to us. When we see a manager or employer taking dangerous shortcuts, we must speak up. When we see workers being assigned to risky tasks when they are unprepared, untrained, or poorly equipped, we must speak up. When we see our workloads becoming so heavy that we cannot perform safely, we must speak up. Thanks to decades of advocating, there are avenues for us to push for greater safety, and we must be determined to use them. As members of a union of 95,000 working Albertans in healthcare, education, government services, and boards and agencies, we have more power than workers in non-unionized workplaces. We must not be afraid or hesitant to use that power. We need members to serve on health and safety committees and as site representatives. So at our work site, let's make sure those health and safety positions are filled. And in the public forum, let's make the lives and limbs of workers more important than quarterly profits or budget cuts. Let us be vocal, let us be loud, let us be heard. And yes, let us take some time to mourn those fellow workers who have died. Then spend the rest of the time to fight like hell for the health and safety of the living.
Thank you, Guy. And I do know that you have some further comments to add, so please.
Thanks, Bonnie. All I really want to say is thank you so much to the Occupational Health and Safety Committee for not just for putting on this day of mourning ceremony, but for the work that you've been doing throughout the year. And I know it's been very challenging for the committee, as it has for our members, trying to meet their safety needs in a very, very challenging time. So thank you for all your hard work as activists. Thank you to our staff who support you in your work, but also our staff throughout the entire organization for supporting our members, again, through a very challenging time. But mostly I'd like to support those activists that are joining us to be part of this ceremony. The work that you do out on your work site, on the shop floor, is absolutely crucial to the well-being of our members. And I know that you're all trained in dealing with, the physical accidents and injuries that can happen. But let's remember that the unseen injuries, particularly brought on over the last couple of years of psychological and emotional damage, is just as debilitating. And we need to be aware of that. And a message that I've been sending wherever I get the chance to talk to members is, let's be kind and gentle with each other so we can support each other through these challenges and future challenges. Because as I said earlier, beyond being a union, we're a family. And when a family gathers on a somber day like this, it really makes you realize what's important. And that is every worker's health and safety. Thank you, Bonnie.
Thank you, President Smith. I would now like to introduce Dorinda Ainscough to offer a few words on behalf of Local 12. We have a video clip of her remarks.
Hi, I'm Dorinda Ainscough. I'm the Vice Chair of Local 12, and I'm the current OHS liaison for our local. On October 9th, 1990, Roland Sumlac, a Local 12 member employed with Alberta Agriculture at the Lethbridge Research Station as a groundwater technologist, was fatally injured on the job. To honor Roland's memory and to recognize AUPE members who work hard to improve the health and safety and working conditions of their colleagues, Local 12 commissioned the Roland Sumac Award. The award's establishment was voted on and passed at AUP's convention in 1990. The Roland Sumlac Award was first presented in 1992. One of the first recipients was Local 12 member and friend of Roland's, Dennis Mickelson. Dennis recited the poem Someone, which he wrote to honor his friend and to reflect on the tragedy of Roland's passing. You'll hear the reading of the poem after the award presentations. The other recipient in 1992 was Doug Moecki, a member of then Local 11, which is now part of Local 12. Each year during the AUPE's Day of Mourning ceremony, the award is given to one or more AUPE members in recognition of their dedication to occupational health and safety at their work sites. As of this year, which is the 30th anniversary of the award, 55 members have been honored with this recognition. Dennis Malayco shared with me that the Welsh miner's lamp, or the Davy's lamp, developed in 1815 by Sir Humphrey Davy, was chosen as a symbol for our Roland Sumlac Award, as it is an icon for health and safety. The Davy lamp was used by miners as a source of light, as well as protection from explosions from methane gas in the mine. The flame would not burn if the work environment was deprived of oxygen. If the flame extinguished, the miners would exit the mine. The lamp replaced a canary that was previously carried into the mine. The canary collapsing in its cage was an indicator that methane gas was at dangerous levels. Sadly, workers have replaced the canary in many workplaces, as is indicated by the number of deaths related to occupational disease. I'm incredibly proud to be representing my fellow Local 12 members and Local 12 Council in sharing our proud history with the Roland Sumlac Award.
Thank you. We are now honored to hear from Darlene Sumlac, sister of Roland Sumlac.
I am Darlene Sumlac, Roland Sumlac's sister. Roland was the third of a family of 4 children. Roland was the kind of person you loved him instantly when you saw him. He was hard playing and hard loving. He, on his last days, had just been confirmed and got the mortgage in the house that Lynn and him would live in with their new family. They were expecting a baby. It was Thanksgiving weekend. I was at work. It was early morning. I had just seated at my desk, and it was very unbelievable to hear my brother was gone. When we went to the funeral, I was in the back seat with Mom and Dad. I could just feel Roland coming and being with me. And that's when I truly knew he was gone. And I can still feel it today. We don't understand the cycle of life. And it hurts to think of him gone. But in his life, he did a lot of good. I still have many little things around that I touch and I feel, and I'm with him. Roland missed out on meeting all of his great nephews and nieces, and he would have loved to known them all, and they would have loved to known him. He missed out on his parents' 50th anniversary. As safety conscious as Roland was, it just happens. I hope that the people out there all learn that no matter how cautious you are, no matter how much you care, in a flash your life can be gone. Please remember in your lives to love and enjoy each moment as it comes. And please be safe out there. And always make time for your family. Always make time. Tomorrow might not ever come.
Thank you, Darlene, for offering that insight into the person who was your brother Roland, and to remind us of the impact that a sudden loss can have on those of us who are left behind. We thank you for joining us for this 30th anniversary of the award given in your brother's name. I would now like to call upon Natasha Foran Botsford from Local 2 to present the first of the 2 Roland Sumlac Awards to Coralie Podolak, also from Local 2.
It is my honor to have nominated my fellow chapter member from Local 2, Coralie. Where do I even begin? I first met Coralie at an OHS conference in Red Deer. I think that was in 2013. I could be wrong, but it was right around that time period. I believe she and Donna Bruce must have seen my lost face because they soon became my mentors in AUPE and for the next few years. I had always been a safety activist, but not with the union. And these 2 wonderful ladies, I can say, changed that for the benefit of all AUP. So where do I start? Well, Coralie has always been an activist. She's actually a firecracker in health and safety. She was been a fellow peer auditor. That means she had the training to go and evaluate other areas of their implementation of health and safety throughout the government of Alberta in the various ministries that had implemented the OHS program. She's participated in multiple audits across the multiple ministries within government of Alberta. She's been a leader, been involved with workplace committees and all of government of Alberta's reiterations of committees. She also was awarded for her work on the team that got the Edmonton region their certificate of recognition with the Partnerships in Peer Reduction. In addition to all of that, she's been a tireless influencer at council, Local 2 Council, a mentor at conventions for multiple new members, an active steward, and was the vice chair on Local 2's OHS subcommittee for 2 terms. It is my absolute privilege and honor and pleasure to have nominated Coralie for the Roland Sumlac Award on behalf of our local and AUPE.
Wow. Thank you, Natasha. That was awesome. I am absolutely honored to be receiving this beautiful award and privileged as well to have been able to contribute to the occupational health and safety program, and also hopefully to the well-being of my brothers and sisters. Thank you, Natasha, for nominating me and for continuing with your dedication to occupational health and safety. Thank you also to Lorraine Ellis, who was my mentor, and Local 2 for supporting the nomination. Thank you so much for this day and this opportunity, and also to Christine, congratulations to you as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Corlin, and well-deserved honor. Next, I will call on Dorinda Ainscoe to present the Roland Sumlac Award to Christine Scotland. This will be presented via a video recorded earlier.
Hello again, my name is Dorinda Ainscoe. I'm a member of Local 12 and work as a caretaker for Alberta Parks in beautiful Peter Lougheed Park and William Watson Lodge. I'm very proud to introduce you all to Christine Scotland, my nominee for the Roland Sumlac Award. I started with the GOA in 2003. I had never heard of OH&S, and when I first heard about the OHS audits, I was nervous, as most workers are, at the thought of being picked for an interview. Christine took the time to show me where all of the OHS information was kept at the worksite and online. She even did some question prep with me and anyone else that asked her for help. To be quite honest, without Christine, I don't think that the Kananaskis region would have done so well in the audits we have had, and her extraordinary efforts are apparent to everyone that works with her and were acknowledged by a regional director at a Kananaskis region staff gathering. Christine's ability to make interviewed workers feel at ease during an audit was the reason I decided to become a GOA OH&S peer auditor. I wanted to make things less scary and try to encourage participation like Christine did for me. Without her, I don't think I would have moved forward with OHS as much as I have. She was a great example and mentor. Christine has been an integral part of the Kananaskis Region's OHS program. The hazard assessments that she created for the Peter Lougheed conservation officers are used as a guideline for all COs. Subsequently, the facility emergency response plan that she created for the Peter Lougheed administration building have also become the template for all of our work sites. Yep, but we stole them. Her attention to detail in these documents has been applauded by regional OHS coordinators, so our ROCs, and OHS consultants in GOA. Pre-COVID, it was pretty common to go into the Peter Lougheed admin building and have hazard assessments, burps, all at one end of the lunchroom table. Christine is always tweaking and updating these living documents. I took over from Christine as the Peter Lougheed OH&S rep in 2013. She had things set up so well I was able to comfortably slide into the big shoes she left behind. In 2015, she became a member of the Alberta Environment and Parks Joint Department Health and Safety Committee, representing conservation officers and Kananaskis. Through this committee, she was part of a subcommittee responsible for researching and attaining speakers for the committee's OH&S conferences, some really great ones as well. Christine has been a conservation officer since 1978. She was one of the first 3 women to become a conservation officer, and she is the last one of that cohort still active. In Local 5, Christine has been an active member of Chapter 1 as a former Secretary-Treasurer, a Level 1 steward, and an AUPE convention delegate 3 or 4 times. I feel as though I am missing so much because it is really hard to put into words the effect that Christine's dedication to OHS has had on the entire Kananaskis region. I can't think of a better and more fitting way to honor Christine Scotland, also known as the Tundra Queen, in her 40th year with Alberta Parks than with the Roland Sumlac Award, which in my opinion is the highest honor that the AUP can give her. Congratulations, Christine, and thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Christine Scotland, Conservation Officer, EEB, out of Kananaskis District. I am grateful to everyone who has been part of my occupational health and safety journey, everyone from my inspector, my sergeant, my co-workers, committee members, and other teammates in the park who over the years have helped contribute to me receiving this award. The safety journey is always ongoing and at times challenging because it was done on the corner of my desk despite all the other work we have to do as officers. But there are many persons throughout the years that have brought me to this moment, and my determination increased on dealing with the safety aspects of the job, whether it's preparing for audits, working on hazard assessments, and all the elements of the program. My sincere gratitude for the encouragement over the years, and I would like to thank the AUPE for this significant award, and thank you so much, Dorinda, for the nomination. Thank you.
And congratulations to both our recipients, Christine and Coraline. You guys are exemplary examples of why this award is put out to honor you as activists. I will now call on Guy Smith to introduce our next speaker.
Thank you, Bonnie. Every year during the Day of Mourning ceremony, we read the poem, Someone. This year, we are very honored to have the first full-time Union OH Nest representative, who is formerly an AUPE staff member and certainly one of my mentors, to give the history and the reading of this poem. So please, a very warm welcome to our first guest speaker, Brother Dennis Malayco.
Thank you very much, Guy, and congratulations to Cora Lee. And is it Christine? I'm sorry if I made a mistake there. Congratulations. And congratulations to the committee on sustaining and maintaining the Day of Mourning ceremony. On a personal note, I'm extremely saddened by the recent passing of Mary Kehoe, a dear friend and colleague. Mary had a passion for health and safety. We met when she raised an occupational health and safety issue at her worksite at Capital Care in the 1980s. I was very lucky to know her for that long and still know her. Mary not only raised issues, she knew what the response should be, and then she presented to management. In fact, we had one issue that was deemed an imminent danger, and Mary had that issue resolved within 1 day. The AUP Health and Safety Program was blessed when Mary joined AUP's staff. Mary was a friend with a great sense of humor. We taught many courses together, and she would often give me hand signals. And I says, Mary, why are you giving me those signals? She said, wrap it up. I thought you meant I was doing so well, keep it up. So she just chuckled and said, I guess that was value added. She was a mentor. I would often go to Mary when issues arose, especially in long-term care, and she provided me with very good advice and assisted me in resolving the concern, as well a co-facilitator. She was loved by our members, so I pass my sincere condolences to the family, AUP executive and staff, and the members. Mary will be missed, but not forgotten, because she leaves behind a great legacy. So congratulations again to the AUP Health and Safety Committee and in maintaining the Day of Mourning ceremony. Besides the 30th anniversary, I think it's very important to mention that the AUP Health and Safety Program is now into its 45th year. And it was based on basically on feedback from advocates at the workplace and activists in the workplace at the grassroots level. The program remains unique in Canada. I was often approached by many from other provinces and even the Northwest Territories on how we managed to secure the program. And I often, as they stated, when they approached their employer, they're basically told where to go. So our program is very unique, and I just wanted to make mention of that. Not long after I was hired in 1977, AUP experienced its first fatality on the job. 2 members from Local 12 drowned when they were taking water samples in Lac La Biche. It was at this point that AUP began recording the members' names, dates of death, and what they were doing. As well, we approached families to assist in any way we could following the death. When I retired from AUP in 2018, AUP had recorded 60 of our members killed on the job. Important to note that we only reported those injuries or those fatals that resulted from workplace injury or death that were accepted by the Workers' Compensation Board. As Bonnie mentioned, the number of deaths related to occupational disease and other causes that are not recorded can be 10 to 13 times greater. Now, the problem, and that was one of the main focuses of our health and safety programs, were that our members often had one exposure to a substance or process and developed cancers and occupational diseases from one exposure 20 to 40 years later. So it's very difficult to connect with employment. Therefore, the board wouldn't accept. That is why our occupational health and safety course does spend a lot of time on speaking to exposures and the importance of getting on the record, whether it be a dust, noise, or psychological injuries, to your attending physician, get on the record and file a report with the WCB. We also had to overcome a myth in government. Basically, I would go to health and safety tables to speak to programs and was told, Dennis, how can your members get injured? All they do is push red tape. Our members were not pushing red tape and they were killed on the job. And I'm just going to mention a few of the 60. A mental health worker was killed in her office. A large number of our members were killed while doing highway work as either flag persons or working in the vicinity of paving units. The numbers were so high that the government decided to privatize, so the private industry would have the fatals and high rate of injuries. A member was buried to death in a trench. A number of our members were killed in helicopter or fixed-wing aircrafts while fighting forest fires or doing animal counts. A member was killed while attending a meeting and a vehicle came crashing through their meeting into their work site. A member who worked in a lookout tower went missing in 2006, and she has now been presumed dead. There is no account for the number of deaths due to heart attacks on the job or occupational disease. Roland Sumlac, and Darlene, thank you for sharing. That's really was heartbreaking. When his vehicle boom came into contact with an overhead power source while working in a Lethbridge, Alberta agriculture yard on October 9th, 1990. Shortly following his death, Dennis Mickelson, a friend and colleague, wrote the poem Someone and forwarded a copy to my office. I was overwhelmed with the poem as it expressed not only the emotion associated with someone's death on the job of a friend and a colleague, it also clearly laid out the shortcomings of occupational health and safety in Alberta and possibly nationally. I contacted Dennis as I knew him as a health and safety activist and asked him to read the poem. He thanked me for the invitation and invited me and gave me the authority to read the poem as I saw fit to raise the profile of occupational health and safety. Please note, Dennis was one of the first recipients of the Sumac Award in 1992. I read the poem throughout the province many hundreds of times, on many occasions, as it was part of the day of mourning ceremony in our occupational health and safety program. I also had the opportunity to read the poem as part of a delegation to the United Nations in the inaugural session of the Day of Mourning, April 28, 1996, that helped to initiate the International Day of Mourning. I am proud now to read the poem written by Dennis Mickelson in honor and memory of his brother, Roland Sumac, October 9th, 1990. The poem is entitled Someone. Someone died today. An accident is what they say. The boom went up and hit the line. The medics came, but not in time. How could this happen? We stare and say. We practice safety every day. We grieve with the family and do our best to help each other through this test. Suddenly emerge from unseen forts, inspectors chastise and make reports. Where were they before the day a safety hazard took a life away? In a hurry, running late? Do it now or it can wait. But the work's important. Priority one, we can do it if we run. Need more training? That's okay. This was a line before the budget came. Reduce your workload? That's not what we meant when we cut staff by 10%. The more we do, the more needs done. Building empires is really fun. Do your work and really care. The more you do, the better I fare. The death of our brother was tragic and wrong, but he cared, and our memories will be cherished and long. With his passing, our brother left something to do. The torch has been passed to me and to you.
Thank you, Dennis. This poem's message is as relevant today as it was written over 30 years ago. And with that, to honor the loss of those we love, to those we have worked with, and for those who, for the most recent loss of our colleague and friend, Mary Kehoe, I would like at this time to ask all those in attendance to take the next moment to reflect on all AUPE members and indeed all workers who have lost their lives and been injured or became ill at work by observing a moment of silence. I would ask all of you to turn off your microphones. Thank you all. It is now an honor to welcome our second guest speaker, Jared Matsonada Turnbull from the Alberta Workers Health Centre, to speak about the wonderful initiatives his organization has been leading the way on. Jared.
Thank you, Bonnie. Good afternoon, friends, allies. My name is Jared Matsonada Turnbull. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm with the Alberta Workers Health Centre. We're a small not-for-profit organization that does workplace health and safety prevention education. We're worker-focused, worker-funded, and worker-governed, and we're committed to anti-oppression and anti-racism. And our work takes place on the lands of diverse Indigenous peoples, and as treaty people, we are committed to collaborating with others to achieve health, safety, and justice for all workers on this land. I want to thank AUPE for inviting me to speak to you today as we gather to recognize the 178 workers who died last year, their loved ones, and all the people whose lives have been changed by workplace fatalities, injuries, and illnesses. And this includes COVID. COVID has affected all of us, but it disproportionately harmed racialized workers, newcomers, and women, with high representation in sectors hit hard by COVID. Caregivers, meatpacking plants, grocery workers, public-facing frontline workers, and many AUPE members. We heard Guy say earlier that today we mourn for the dead and fight like hell for the living. And I'd like to focus my talk on this last part, this fight for the living, to prevent workers from being killed or made sick when we go to work. You may know that we have brand new occupational health and safety, or OHS, laws in Alberta, brought in under Bill 47 by the current provincial government. And spoiler alert, the most recent changes are not good for workers. Despite the rollbacks, we still have health and safety rights, the ones workers have fought for hard and have won. The right to know about the dangers of our jobs and how we're protected from them. The right to participate in making our workplaces safer, and the right to refuse dangerous work. Now, incidentally, the government has tried to weaken our right to refuse by changing the rules as of this last December the 1st. So please make sure you and your coworkers learn about this, and especially if you're part of your health and safety committee. You can find more about that on our website. Our workplace health and safety system is based on several assumptions: that workers will act on their rights, that we will report and refuse dangerous work, and that employers will fix the problem. Employers are supposed to eliminate or control the hazard, but research shows that half of employers are failing to comply with these basic OHS laws. Research also shows that workers do not use their rights because of fear of employer retaliation. When faced with unsafe conditions, we are often faced with a horrible decision. Do we raise a health and safety concern and risk losing our jobs and our ability to support our families? Or do we continue our work and maybe risk losing our lives? Employers have a lot of power. An individual worker, not so much. So we need to shift that power imbalance. And one way is with increased and meaningful enforcement for negligent employers. Kill a worker, go to jail. But this relies on government willingness and hiring more OHS officers, AUPE members, to enforce the rules. Now, another way to shift this power imbalance is increased worker participation, active health and safety committees, union involvement in health and safety matters, and even just sharing information with each other, making it normal to have conversations every day about improving working conditions. But it's easier for some workers to participate than others. Many workers come up against significant barriers and beyond fear of employer discipline. I'm talking about language barriers, lack of job security, intercultural barriers where the way things are done in Canada may be very different than back home, or residency status tied to your employment or to your employer. Now, for the past few years, our team has collaborated with diverse cultural communities around the province to figure out ways to address some of these barriers, some of these problems. And specifically looking at ways immigrants, refugees, and other newcomers might feel better equipped to participate in health and safety at work. I want to share a project we did with the Multicultural Health Brokers Cooperative. They connect diverse community members to the services that they need: children's services, healthcare, social services. These services can be really hard to navigate when you come from a different culture. We wanted to translate some of our brochures for newcomers who speak other languages. But when we talked with community leaders, we learned this was not the best way to reach workers. The real question was, who is handing you that fact sheet? It's important that the message comes from somebody in the same community, somebody who's trusted. So we made some videos instead. We worked with recognized and trusted leaders from different ethnocultural communities to translate and to host the videos. It was very cool. It was great people who did a ton of work. COVID interrupted and delayed everything, but it was a great learning experience, and I'm happy to be able to share a short clip of these videos right now.
My name is Tokwe.
And my name is Funke, and we are part of the English-speaking African community here in Alberta.
Hello, ako si Rene.
大家好，我是莹莹。Sat Shri Akal ji, मेरा नाम राजवीर कौर है.
Mi nombre es Gabriela Jesso. Naitwa Sabina na tumetokea kwenye jamii.
Nous faisons partie d'une communauté francophone d'ascendance africaine.
اسمي منيازو دانيو بلسكاش. كيف الحال جميعا؟ أنا اسمي حسن الإبراهيم.
In Alberta, there are health and safety rules for workers and employers. It is the law.
So these videos, these are available on our YouTube channel, and I encourage folks to use them. Share them with the people in your lives, your workplaces, and your union. I want to say that this is not the solution to just make stuff that informs people about their rights. Knowledge is not necessarily power, but it can lead to power. And I do believe that collective knowledge can lead to collective power. Anyway, before I wrap up, I also want to remind folks that there is a major need for workers to participate outside of the workplace as well. And that is because workplace health and safety and worker protection more broadly are political. Workers must get even more involved in pushing for improvements in the political sphere, whether that's by being involved in elections, in campaigns, in organizing for change in other ways. We have to engage with our own communities, and we have to support historically or currently marginalized communities who lack resources, who are under attack, and who are actively discouraged from participating. Because an injury to one is an injury to all. Thank you. Solidarity.
Thank you, Jared. I really do appreciate you joining us today with this message and the work that you're doing. I know that our members are going to take advantage of all of the pieces you have put together, and especially about it being inclusive, diverse, and seeking equity in everything we do, which includes occupational health and safety. I am now going to call on our AUPE Standing Committee members to say a few words, and I'm going to start with Dee.
The question we face now is, how do we, as workers, change things? What can we do to make workplaces safer and ensure everyone comes home when the workday is over? The answer, we must take our safety seriously and raise our voices.
We must talk to our coworkers about occupational health and safety. We must ensure that workplace safety committees have worker representation. We must find workers to serve on health and safety subcommittees and as site representatives. We have to be workplace organizers.
Every worker must learn that taking shortcuts, ignoring damaged equipment, or operating equipment without training is a recipe for disaster. Every worker must know the limitations of working excessive hours without proper breaks, or by taking on crippling workloads to get the work done will lead to both physical and mental injuries.
Every employer must recognize that workers' injuries and death can be prevented when they put maximum emphasis on the protection of their workforce. We must make sure that the voice of workers is heard. In this way, we as workers can put pressure on employers to do what is needed to help keep us safe.
AUPE members must get to know their local occupational health and safety liaisons. These fellow members are working hard for all of us. If you are worried about something at your work site, bring your concerns to the liaisons or to your workplace safety representatives.
It starts with having the one-on-one conversations. It's as simple as see something, say something. Shrugging your shoulders or ignoring it is just a danger signs and will only lead to injuries and death.
AUPE provides several learning opportunities for members who want to know more about occupational health and safety. You can find links to those resources on the OH&S community page at aupe.org.
AUPE's Education Department offers 3 different OHS courses, and members can also apply for credit transfer to have your union training hours applied towards a certificate in OH&S at the University of Alberta.
As union members, we like to say we have the power. This is true. We have the power of 95,000 members, and we can have the power of solidarity. We must use this power to make work safer and to change the culture of safety on our work sites. To do anything less is unthinkable. Again, congratulations to our Roland Sumlac Award winners. Thank you to our guests, Darlene Sumlac, Dennis Malayco, and Jared Matsonada Turnbull, apologize. Thank you for our piper, Jim Perry from Local 3. Thank you to the Standing Committee. But a huge thank you is also owed to our staff members of AUPE, Jordan Thompson and Kyle Armstrong from our Education Department, Terry Inigo Jones and Alexander Delorme from our Communications Department, and to Diana Griffith, the staff advisor for the Occupational Health and Safety Committee. Without their efforts, this event would not have been possible. Finally, I thank all of you for joining AUP's Occupational Health and Safety Committee for this Day of Mourning ceremony. Please stay safe. Please look after each other. Please be kind to each other. And please have a good afternoon. Thank you all.